these documents just pertain to Sandor's presentation.
You got one extra? I have an extra. I have. Yep, yes, sir.
When you need me to move the slide, just let me know and give me 1 second.
Let's start at the beginning, please.
Sorry, this isn't the beginning.
Good afternoon. Today I'm asking for the committee to consider bringing forward recommendation forward to City Council to collaborate in supporting our marketing, public relations, and community building programs with a budget of $20,000. As we've heard from staff, and as I've known for some time, the city does not have the human resources or the mandate to execute on any particular campaigns or feedback systems, but the good news is we do have trusted city partnerships already in place that can address downtown marketing, public relations, and community building. QSA is seeking support for a warm season videography project, for authorization to manage the bus station TV, for an outreach budget specifically for radio advertising spending this fall, and for some organizational overhead costs that'll take us well into 2026. So let's imagine, what can we do because we can believe in each other? Next slide, please. I've been a graphic designer in this area going back for more than 10 years. I worked in the BA office for Springalicious and for Niagara Falls Comic Con. More recently, I worked as the production manager of the On Queen Street Map Guide, which gave me an impartial overview perspective of the Queen Street area. And that came as a coincidence to the dissolution of the BIA. Through this project, I became a member of the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub on M. Zimmerman Avenue, and I felt strongly that the hub can play an important role in fostering new synergies for downtown. The On Queen Street map was a boost to downtown morale, but could not be sustained. It doesn't have the appropriate mandate to fill the existing gap because it's privately owned, pay-to-play advertising, printed on paper, which does have its place, but by itself it couldn't and shouldn't be the de facto marketing venture of a downtown that otherwise doesn't have a voice of its own. Next slide, please. For example, I'll draw your attention to the TV at the downtown bus station, a management responsibility of the former BIA that has fallen into disuse and was off for more than a year, until a member took it upon herself to talk her way into the IT room behind the wall, and she pestered me to get a slideshow going on the video screen. And for the last 6 months, all that's been on screen is the advertisements from the On Queen Street map. Now, the issue of managing a digital display system with up-to-date information is a relatively simple task for a small organization. I know that they do it very well every day, every week at the Innovation Hub, but it's beyond the scope of an individual. Instead of this being the unofficial and unilateral communication platform of a private citizen, I'm asking for permission for the formation of a collaborative partnership to provide management over the screen and its content. We certainly do have the human resources on Zimmerman Avenue to turn this ongoing missed opportunity at the bus station into a statement that downtown is still open for business and isn't a rudderless ship. If we act now, we can use this TV platform to promote community events that are happening all summer, such as the Niagara Jazz Festival, Carey Falls, Niagara Falls Latin Festival, as well as highlighting our key messaging of Eat and Shop Local and our downtown online platforms. Next slide, please. I'm happy to report that I've had the enriching privilege of participating in UNF's capstone projects, and that QSA has been selected by UNF for a capstone project in data analytics. I had the pleasure of meeting with a brilliant master's student who was eager to apply his specialized knowledge towards building a downtown data dashboard. And I believe that represents just the beginning of the potential for QSA to facilitate students and interns across many fields for the benefit of downtown Niagara Falls. I believe that by itself, facilitation of students and interns is enough reason to support QSA as a vehicle of empowering downtown. I'm also pleased that we can partner with public feedback platform NoQuest in developing and deploying surveys of anonymous aggregated data, and we'll be hosting focus groups starting in June, which will be hosted by our colleague Sherry Hawkins. Next slide, please. So borrowing some language from the capstone proposal, the UNF academics described Niagara Falls QSA as having a mission that I believe we have in common: fostering economic growth, promoting business engagement, and enhancing downtown visibility. and I believe the unique value proposition added by QSA in our partnership with the Hub to do so through technology and collaboration. Next slide, please. And I've discovered that by engaging with stakeholders, there's a certain value to this mission of fostering a sense of place with a positive identity, of belonging where everybody is a somebody, of visibility in a positive light. In this capacity, I've had the privilege of welcoming these new members to the committee and gaining their trust in representing them to the public. This is Benny from Rangila Pan, where I had a delicious treat. Binder, who opened Baki this month, comes back to being a restaurateur after some number of years in hospitality. Caprice and Ty have brought their family business around the bend of the Golden Horseshoe to Niagara Falls to sell what they say are the best deals in appliances in Southern Ontario. And this is Kristen, showing off the fruits of her labor. She told me that her company started when she had a stroke. She was immobilized and isolated, but she put her mind to whatever task she could manage to do. If she could simply cut wire and chain, then she was dedicated to cutting wire and chain. Through this consistent focus, she maintained her morale and regained her dexterity, and is now telling her story and selling the bracelets at the Magnificent Women's Market. Next slide, please. And I think that maybe that story of rehabilitation could be a lesson for how we might look at downtown revitalization. In recent years, downtown marketing, public relations, and community building has broken down, and to rebuild its capacity, we should keep up our morale and focus on simple tasks that help us regain our dexterity and self-esteem. We crawl, we walk, and we run together. For the remainder of this presentation, I'm prepared to demonstrate the new QueenStreetArea.com website, to discuss our campaigns and communication themes, to summarize the videography project budget request and the request for a budget for radio advertising, and with your permission, I'll quickly address those points. Next slide. QueenStreetArea.com is currently in its beta launch posture. We have key technology in place such as search, tags, map, and get directions. I'm currently populating the database. Soon I'll be able to extend to businesses their own login to manage their user-generated content, such as offers and events, as well as access to member-only content. The completed website will generate foot traffic by engaging with an interactive game, what I call Queen Street Quests. And the development of this website is my contribution to the project, doing what I can with what I have. And I'm asking for a budget that'll help ensure that we can keep the lights on for our online platforms for the next 18 months and beyond. Next slide, please. Each campaign period presents its own seasonal themes and opportunities. And I'm proposing that we focus on supporting videography this summer and pivot to radio outreach in this fall, with the steps to take, with taking new steps in the new year being an open discussion. Next slide, please. QSA's media platform is more like CBC than it is like BIA. Just like CBC makes you feel Canadian, QSA communicates the themes of downtown. People and places, events and activities, shop and eat local, providing directions and information, facilitating, organizing, and providing for deals and offers, prizes and giveaways, surveys and feedback, and of course, helping to communicate the wonderful progress that we are making with our partners. I believe that we can build social cohesion and improve public perceptions through ongoing local media production and publication across all platforms. We celebrate past, present, and future of downtown. Next slide, please. And given that it is now summer, and there are so many wonderful events happening throughout the season, I believe that now is the time to initiate the process of developing a video project in 2025, in the same way that Flight over the Niagara Falls celebrated the assets of Niagara Parks. We can celebrate all we have here in downtown Niagara Falls, on a much smaller scale, of course. This will be useful for digital signage, such as the bus station TV. It'll be useful for online content, and it'll be useful as legacy material that can put us on good footing in the years ahead. We can do event coverage and produce electronic news to provide to CHCH and your TV. Not only that, as I described earlier, the project itself fosters a feeling of visibility and belonging for those who participate. Simply inviting the businesses to participate sends a positive signal that we are taking proactive, positive steps, which is why I believe that this is community building as much as it is marketing. Next slide, please. And as we develop a solid network and platform upon which our community can depend, I believe that outreach efforts will require some advertising spending, and that radio spending would be the perfect test case for us to start with. In January, I acquired this quote from Andrew at 105.1 The River, who's offered 75% off to play 5 days a week, 5 ads a day for 2 months, $2,700. When we are ready, outreach efforts such as this can help invite locals back downtown, and Andrew provided me with a draft of a radio spot, and I'll ask Dean to please pull it up and let's take a listen.
Check Queen Street area. Family-friendly fun every day, downtown Niagara Falls. Check QueenStreetArea.com for events. Events each month, all summer. This month, Niagara Jazz Festival. Next month, Kerry Falls. And the Niagara Latin Festival in August. Live music calendar. Old downtown always has something new every day. New jams and old classics. Cruising on the Q Car Show every Tuesday night. Come for the 50-50. Stay for dinner and drinks.
So that was a speculative ad produced by Andrew at 105.1 The River, so that we could have a sense of what we would be able to accomplish. That was a events featured advertisement, which would have a window of where it's a relevant pursuit. My proposal here is to do Halloween to Christmas, but should the support come from the committee and the city have the support, then we could begin doing radio advertising earlier so that we could highlight and capture all of the wonderful events taking place this summer. But should that not be possible, we certainly want to draw people to shop and eat local and to come to the wonderful events happening between Halloween and Christmas in 2025. And in 2026, there is a range of advertising spending for outreach that's possible. It's not my decision to determine what the ceiling on that budget is. All I'm here to do is offer what the opportunities are so that the discussion can take place. Next slide, please. So I'd like to thank our partners, particularly at the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub, whose coaches and staff have been incredibly supportive. I'd like to note that our partnership with the Hub slashes the overhead costs on marketing, public relations, and community building, as office space, desks, printers, 24/7 security access has been provided for. So in the next year, 2 years, we know that marketing, public relations, and community building can be supported by the Hub through its overhead, if for no other reason, because it provides office space. I'd also like to shout out to our newest partner at the Niagara Falls, the Niagara Jazz Festival, who's bringing an exciting event to downtown on June 14th, in which we're happy to be partnered with. Next slide. So in conclusion, I believe that we can form a partnership with institutions and stakeholders which empowers downtown marketing, public relations, and community building. We can't promise to solve every problem downtown, but we can work together to put ourselves on better footing in 2026 and beyond. Thank you for your time, and I'm available for any questions.
Thanks, Sandor. Does the committee have any questions or comments?
Of course.
It's pretty thorough.
That's good. Thorough is good.
Well, where you operate from? Where will be your office or whatever?
We'd be proud to be based out of the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub at Zimmerman Avenue. It has, as I was saying, a 24/7 access.
You already
Lots of
arranged with them, like a proposal, there will be a rental cost or?
No, it's part of our relationship is hot desk membership is provided in kind. And that value is approximately $3,000 a year. And that's because we're putting their logos on our material, we're communicating the value of the hub to the public. And so it's an in-kind relationship.
Okay.
I just have a question, through the chair. It says budget $20,000, and then it says duration 18 months, 6 months funded. What does that mean exactly? What does it mean, 18 months, 6 months
Yep.
funded?
Great question. Thank you for the question. So the advertising spending and the spending would be covering the 6 months. We're talking hiring the video crew, doing media buying that we agree on together, and doing the radio outreach. That would cover that 6 months. the project itself, regardless of funding, continues all the way through 2026 thanks to the funding. So that's the answer to the question.
So the funding for advertising is for 6 months.
Yep.
Your work goes on for 18 months.
Yep.
Is that the
Yep.
summary of
That's
it?
exactly right. So that because, if I may, because we don't want to start something that'll be gone in 2 months. We don't want to start something that'll disappear. We want to say,
No, it makes sense.
Yep.
I just wanted
very
to
good.
be clear on
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? So I know last time you came, we had discussed a little bit that this committee, of course, itself does not have its own budget. All we can really do is make recommendations to council for consideration. So what is your specific ask today from this committee?
If I may map this out for a moment, should I come forward with a $5,000 proposal to address only one specific aspect, then we would simply need to go back to City Hall, City Council in 2 months or 3 months. My proposal is to bring forward a solid proposal so that City Hall knows that we're addressing these issues in 2025. So that either this month or 2 months from now, we bring forward a proposal to City Hall, a recommendation saying that we want to support marketing, public relations, community building, that we're willing to work with QSA and the Innovation Hub and their partners to be able to implement that. So I'm asking for a budget of $20,000 so that we can address the wide variety of comprehensive things that we're looking at.
And I mean, this is not really obviously the scope of this committee, but I'm aware there is some sort of a procurement policy within the city that would need to be followed. Would this type of a request of council have to go through the standard procurement process? I guess that's a question for Dean or for Jim.
Sure, so I think the answer would be yes. I think ultimately the decision lies with what kind of motion would get discussed at council level. So there are opportunities to single source contract things. That would have to be a discussion of council. There's a similar discussion when we did our hanging basket flowers and deciding who the vendor would be. And I think there was preference from members of the downtown community to go with the company that had done it for years prior. And that was ultimately the direction that was received from council, and that's what we decided to do for sourcing that vendor for that project. So not sure if that answers your question, Victoria, but the procurement policy is always in effect, but I mean, we would act at the discretion of council.
If I may ask a question on clarification on the matter of procurement, I don't see this as an issue of procurement because we're not selling anything to the city. We're an organization that's providing marketing, public relations, and community building, and we're asking the committee to recommend to the city to provide sponsorship and funding of that effort. Is that the same as procurement?
I would defer to staff.
I don't have a clear answer for you, Sandor, on that. I would think if it's a matter of the QSA being a vendor that the city is paying to embark on a variety of marketing and public relation activities, my thought is that it probably would fall under the purview of the procurement policy. I can certainly clarify that for you and follow up with you on that, but that would be my suspicion.
The implication is that should this be the natural limitation to how we can proceed forward, then that should marketing, public relations, and community building be a priority to the committee, then in the coming months ahead, there should be a RFP that goes out to secure such things. And that taking that through its natural course, that RFP would come back and be a lot more than what is being brought forward here, because it's being brought forward from the origins of our city partners, the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub being so closely involved. Should we put out a request for a website, and I think you should, for the NiagaraFalls.com website, that is a process that'll take months, and the management of that process itself requires the human resources to manage itself. So what we're talking about is a stopgap measure while the community figures out what to do with itself in the future regarding the issue of a BIA. We have the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub, a trusted partner of the city, 24/7 access. Any day of the week, you can come on down there and ask them about downtown marketing, and I imagine and I hope that they'll direct you to me, and that we can work together in whatever, doing what we can with what we have. So that's what I'm committed to be doing, is to doing what I can with what I have. And so I thank you for your time and your attention in those questions. If there's any more questions, please.
Any further? Yes, Kelly.
Yeah, through the chair. I know that we all have our own marketing budgets and we all do our own things. And I kind of feel like no matter how much we do, there's still a little bit of a black smear on the downtown, like people's thinking of the downtown. And, you know, it might actually be nice for us to have something like this, you know, get in people's heads, you know, that it is family friendly and it's not all people doing heroin on street corners. Because a lot of people think that, you know, aren't you scared of having your bar downtown? No, and it's worse on Lundy's Lane, you know? So I don't know, he swayed me a little bit in my way of thinking about this.
Dallas?
No, for sure. I think I agree with you. I think the act in the radio gonna help to change the mentality that people think about the Queen Street. I think it'll be a good mission.
Just a thought, maybe we receive it and then Dean can go follow up on the procurement stuff with our finance department just to find out, you know, where exactly that sits. And then we can, you know, at the next meeting, maybe with a little more information and have a more fulsome discussion around it.
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask one question? Is there a breakdown, Sandor, of that 20,000? What goes toward what? What's radio? What's print ad? What's
Yeah, it's
whatever?
right here, isn't it?
I will admit,
Breakdown?
it could use some work.
Okay, it's
I'm not perfect, and I've done the best I can with what I know. I'm open to seeing these numbers massaged, and they're very plastic numbers in terms of what are the priorities of the committee. These are just a proposal, and I seek to talk about this. I know that we can't satisfy this conversation in one 20-minute conversation, maybe even two. Maybe we can have more conversations in the time ahead to see if that there is a solution here by working with our partners. If I may draw our attention to one thing that I think that we can address regardless of the issue of procurement, thanks to our partnerships, especially at the hub, and that is the issue of the television. We have a unilateral individual who's commandeered the television and is using it for an advertising program that is limited to the scope of that project. What steps can be taken for us to communicate on behalf of the businesses and events that are happening this summer? Should we let 3 months go by with that television being off or in the control of an individual member of the business? I think we can do something, finances aside. I think we can do something with that. What do you think?
If I could, Chair, I didn't know about that TV, the bus station, so I was unaware.
Can you bring it up again, please, on Dean? May I?
Well, can I just ask, does anyone know, you guys have some history, I mean, did the BIA install it, or what's the relationship? I didn't know about that.
We used to run the ads through it, I did not, I forgot.
Oh,
Like downtown stuff, and I know that at one point, they did have, all the businesses kind of rotating through that screen down at the bus station.
Yep.
And it is, everybody sees it.
So if you can imagine sending out a press release to every single business saying, would you like to be on this TV? That first of all sends the signal that we're in action, that we're taking action. It also gives them a platform, and it provides fresh content for the thousands of visitors, the current missed opportunity. So I think that there's something that we can do in this space. We can rebuild, we can replace this map. I mean, we don't have to rebuild the wall because I imagine the whole bus station is being built in the coming years. But in the interim time, there is something we can do. It's a missed opportunity. And there's only so much that I can do. And as the community member charmed her way into the IT room, and I always felt that actually we need to ask. We need to ask a body such as this who's responsible for an asset such as this. And so that's really what I hope to walk away from this meeting with, is a discussion about what can we do about this space, because I think it's an opportunity for us that we can take this summer.
Thanks, it might be appropriate.
Through your chair. This $20,000 is for 18 months. So what is the cost going forward after 18 months? Because if we're investing in something, we are looking for long-term investment. It's not just a short-term investment.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Patel.
Yeah.
If I can try to put the financial request into a little bit of context. My understanding is that there's about $180,000 of the dissolved assets. Based on the precedents that the committee has already supported, that means moving forward, we can imagine that $45,000 will be taken for Christmas and for flowers in the coming years, which leaves about $140,000 of budget. So that's $140,000 that I don't know what the committee intends to recommend to the city to do with. I do imagine that some of those portions of that money was collected under the mandate of marketing, public relations, and community building, but not 100% of it. So trimming it back down, we find that between $20,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 arguably could go to marketing, public relations, and community building. However, me standing here today making a $50,000 proposal for a 24-month term is a big ask. And so I'm asking for a trial balloon so that we can, in 2025, put ourselves on better footing for 2026. In January, I would be back to say, here's where we can spend for outreach and advertising. Should we do more radio? Should we go on the GO trains? Should we put up billboards in bus stations? That's the $10,000 to $20,000 number that I put on that particular slide for subsequent spending. So to answer your question, if I'm asking for 20 in 2025, I wouldn't be asking for any more than 20 to 30 for 2026, because I think that's within the scope of all the considerations that it would take. That's my analysis of it, and that's the position I have in terms of that. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Through your chair, another question. Here you're saying media contractors and project staff. Is this the local contractor you're using in project staff? Is that you're going to be hiring new staff, or you already have a staff?
Those are two separate line items, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So the media contractors, those are the professionals who are like your drone operators who can do the aerial videography, the editors and the professionals in that domain. And the management staff that's me, providing an overview of all of the different moving parts of the organization, so that there's always someone on call and available to the entire range of stakeholders that we have. I've been happy, the people in the gallery, I think, I've been happy to work with them in terms of providing that kind of support. And I'd like to be able to do so, not just because I'm passionate about it, but because it's a legitimate operation in partnership with the institutions I seek to work with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And through your chair, one more question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll go.
No, please.
It's just the timeline I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically, council decides to go with the single source contract. What is the timeline you're looking for you to deliver this video or anything to do with the publication material?
Thank you. Assuming that there's a solid agreement that we can move forward on, I'm sure that our partners are ready to begin immediately. I know I'm already well underway in my department, but in terms of Valen Entertainment, who I've consulted with and gotten a quote from for videography, they would be at the events. They would be immediately publishing during and at the events, as well as collecting all that material for legacy videos throughout the year. So that at the beginning of next year, in the spring of next year, let's imagine that we have so many more opportunities to celebrate downtown Niagara Falls. We're already prepared. And that's kind of the spirit of why I'm taking action now and making this proposal now. It's summer. People are smiling. People are bright. There are bright events happening. And we're going to get, with the appropriate budget, we could get some really great legacy material that can help celebrate and promote what downtown Niagara Falls is about. As Kelly noted, it's not about the unfortunate souls who are lost. It's about so many of the beautiful aspects that this community offers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So there's a couple of things that I noted. I think there's one very important thing with the advances in technology and everything. Having a team to make stuff is kind of not really that important anymore. I can build a website in 1 hour with the help of AI agents, and this would take a team of 5 like a week to do before. And I don't know code really that well at all. I'm a family doctor. But what we're lacking in situations like this is a really motivated individual who is taking initiative and getting stuff done, because we have one here who's doing a really good job. I think maybe we can make it a little bit of a simpler project, maybe for the summer, and like pass a motion to maybe get something done for the summer at this meeting, and give them a chance to go on after that. With a small budget, start with a small budget, short period, get the summer done because it's starting in a month or so, and then revisit this at the end of summer. That would be something I would propose.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui.
Okay.
Any other comments, suggestions,
Thank you so much.
questions?
Excuse me.
Yes?
That was like a recommendation or motion that you want to make?
Setting
Yeah.
a motion
Spend the
basically.
20,000
Yeah,
dollars.
if somebody agrees to say
I will
that.
second your recommendation.
So can I have a clearly worded motion then, please?
So-
Thank you, Chair.
Sure, thank you. So I'll put forward a motion to maybe make the project size a little smaller, concentrate on the summer, and pass something as soon as possible so that we can get it on the way
All right, so making a recommendation to city council
to city council.
on a smaller project size with a smaller budget. Is there a recommendation on the budget amount?
20,000. No?
I think he's
Well, that
saying
would
a
be for
smaller
18 months, yeah,
consideration.
so maybe like something like $6,000 or $6,000 to the summer, because I think that'll cover the videography probably and some of the costs that'll come with it.
Well, I don't want to put myself in a position of saying yes if it's not enough, because I have to
so
hire people.
you would know,
Right,
maybe.
so, I 6,000 is a little less than I think that we can be effective for the next 3 to 4 months. Because we're talking about hiring a group of people to do a project. And I imagine that the budget amount of 4,000 is not as flexible as my own compensation. So, because those are outsiders.
So what would be your suggestion for a 4 month?
I am so very happy to hear this conversation moving in this direction. I would simply cut it in half and put it at 10 if that's reasonable. I think that we could definitely work with that. Does that still work for you, Tony?
I will support the 10,000.
Thank you. Thank you for raising this conversation.
And just through the chair, as I'll be the one that prepares the report if this committee does decide to make a recommendation
Yeah.
to spend any amount of that levy balance.
Yeah.
I'll prepare a report that goes to council.
Yeah.
So just for some of my own due diligence,
Yeah.
QSA, is QSA an incorporated nonprofit organization, or can you just comment on the legal, what kind of legal entity is QSA?
Thank you for the question, Dean. QSA is in its formative stages. Through our partnership with the Hub, I feel confident that we can work something out. QSA is not incorporated, does not have a bank account. So that is a limiting factor in the current stage, but I think it's an opportunity because we have the Innovation Hub to partner with.
But
So-
that can happen quickly,
And
like a bank
and
account
with the positive
registering your business.
gesture from the committee, I think that a lot of pieces will fall into place to make that step. So if there's any other further questions, like who's on the board, I can answer that. Sherry Hawkins and Rahi Taz, do you remember his last name?
I
And Mr.
never said
Rahi,
it out loud, so
right.
I'm not gonna try.
So.
Yeah.
If I may then, just
Thank
as a
you.
follow-up question, you've indicated that it would be a nonprofit organization on
Yep.
this proposal.
Yep.
Have
So
you
that would be
looked
the
into
Niagara
re-
Falls Innovation Hub.
Right, have you looked into the requirements to incorporate as a nonprofit organization? Because there are
Sure.
specific requirements to be approved as a nonprofit.
Well, certainly, I've looked into it. Are you seeing any signals or red flags that are?
I'm just saying, if we're putting
Disqualifying?
this forward as a proposal from a nonprofit organization that doesn't currently exist,
That's right.
would there be any challenges between, if you were approved for this contract, to getting the nonprofit organization actually established in time to carry
Well-
this out for the summer? Because I know that there's a lag
And
that's different from a regular
absolutely, I
incorporated
know
business.
that's definitely the
Yeah.
case. And to address this, I believe that we can be facilitated by the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub. The Niagara
Yeah.
Falls Innovation Hub is itself a nonprofit which is capable of engaging in a partnership both with QSA, which is Sandor Ligetfalvy, currently until registered. And so the deliverables are a guarantee thanks to our solid partnerships. And that puts us on better footing for 2026 to see, well, where does this go?
Okay, so at this point in time, it wouldn't be with QSA as a nonprofit organization.
No,
It would have
No,
to be
that's right.
facilitated through the Innovation Hub.
for a pilot project for downtown marketing, public relations, and community building.
Okay, thanks. These are important details for us to
Absolutely.
have before we make any type of.
I understand
recommendation.
completely, and I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, so we have a motion that was put forward and seconded. We can vote on the motion. We could refer this to a closed session for further discussion. We can table it, we can vote on it. So, any thoughts from the committee, how you'd like to proceed? I can put it to a vote right now if you like. If everyone's comfortable with that.
If I can just get a clear verbiage on the motion for the vote.
Okay.
I think through the chair, some of my advice would be, if this were to come to fruition, we'd probably seek some kind of memorandum of understanding or some type of formal agreement between what would be the city of Niagara Falls and whoever the other entity would be. And, we would just want to run that through our own risk management. And I think probably as part of our work on creating an MOU and reaching whatever the terms are, we'd probably want to discuss some due diligence on the matter. And, you've mentioned the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub and trying to formalize the roles of each organization at the table. Those things would need to be done, from a staff level before we approach council, to recommend they approve $10,000 for this project. That's some of the due diligence I need to conduct before we get to that level. So my suggestion is you consider adding in like a motion, to explore forming an MOU.
You can prove in principle.
Sure, we can make a recommendation in principle, to council in
And then
principle,
follow up
subject
what
to
you said.
staff due diligence.
Wonderful.
Or it could be a recommendation that staff explore the creation of a MOU with QSA and the subsequent recommendation of $10,000 pending
Right.
due diligence
Perfect sense.
is completed.
Remember, this is just this committee recommendation. In the end, the city council will make the final decision, so
Correct.
they will do their homework and they decide if it's worth to do or not.
All right, so we have a motion on the table. Is there any desire to amend the current motion on the table?
Motion to,
Okay, so I think the motion is to make a recommendation to city council for a smaller, shorter project with QSA for the summer months.
Through the chair, and also, Sandor, you'll work quickly to find out who, like, if you're going through the hub or, yeah,
Sleeplessly. I
Yeah.
work sleeplessly to ensure.
I believe you.
So I would make a motion to amend the current motion just to add subject to staff due diligence on the recommendation, which should cover off on the negotiation of any MOU, making sure the legal entities established, all those pieces. Would anyone like to second my amendment to the motion? Thanks, Eddie. All right, I'll call a question to the amended motion.
Is there an amount? Is the amount going to be,
I think amounts could be also explored during
As
the.
part of
Yeah,
the MOU.
absolutely.
All right. I'll call the question or vote on the motion.
Can I ask sir to have the motion read just because I missed it?
sure.
You bet, sorry, Jim.
So there's a motion from Puria to recommend to City Council to fund a smaller pilot project to QSA with an amendment to the motion from our chair to make that recommendation subject to staff due diligence. So that's okay.
All right, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Committee, thank you
Sorry,
so
who was
much.
the second on that motion?
Thank you.
Dallas.
Tony was second.
Tony. Yes, you were.
The
Thank you.
original was moved by Furia, seconded by
For
Tony.
Tony. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you.
Staff will follow up to
Wonderful,
get the required information.
very good, thank you.
Thanks. All right. This is back on, so I can move the agenda. Next item, under discussion items, we have a staff update from